You know how some moments just make you stop scrolling and say, wait, Johnny Depp did what? Well, this is one of those moments. After more than 30 years away from the Fashion Week spotlight, Johnny Depp made a surprise appearance at Paris Fashion Week, and let's just say, he didn't go unnoticed. Cameras flashed, whispers started flying, and within minutes, photos of him sitting next to none other than Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, began to take over the internet. Yeah, you heard that right. Johnny Depp and Brigitte Macron, side by side at the Christian Dior show. It's the kind of crossover nobody saw coming. Hollywood royalty meets political elegance. And the internet couldn't get enough. Now, if you've been following Depp's journey lately, his comeback, his art shows, his music, and that renewed partnership with Dior, you probably already know he's been quietly rebuilding his image. But this felt different. This felt like a statement. A message. Maybe even a reminder that Johnny Depp is far from fading away. So, let's walk through exactly what happened, what he wore, who he met, and why this appearance at Paris Fashion Week might actually be a strategic move that says a lot about his future. It all started on October 1st, 2025, when Depp showed up at the Dior Spring-Summer 2026 show. This wasn't just another celebrity dropping in for the cameras. For Johnny, this was a long-awaited return. The last time he made a major Fashion Week appearance was decades ago, back in the 1990s, and when he arrived, you could feel it. The crowd reaction, the flashes, the quiet buzz running through the room. Even before he sat down, it was clear. Johnny Depp was back. He wasn't there by accident either. There's a deeper story behind this return, and it ties directly to his long-standing partnership with Dior. Depp has been the face of Dior Sauvage since 2015, and that collaboration has been nothing short of legendary. Remember those intense cinematic ads? The desert, the guitar, the wild wind? Yeah, that's Sauvage. In 2023, Dior doubled down on that partnership by renewing his contract for an estimated $20 million deal, the biggest men's fragrance contract ever. So showing up at Dior's Paris Fashion Week show wasn't just fashion, it was business, image, and influence all rolled into one. When you think about it, it's genius. After years of turbulence, controversy, and comebacks, what better way to remind the world who you are than to walk into one of the most prestigious fashion events in the world, confident, calm, and effortlessly cool. And that's exactly how he showed up. Let's talk about his look for a second because, honestly, it was peak Johnny Depp. He wore a gray double-breasted blazer, classic, elegant, but with just the right touch of casual rebellion. Underneath, a dark green checkered shirt, open at the collar. His jeans were cuffed, his boots paint-splattered, and his accessories, sunglasses, a fedora, and a pocket square, screamed understated confidence. It wasn't overstyled, it wasn't trying too hard. It was Johnny saying, "I'm still me." There's this thing about Depp's fashion sense. It's never about fitting in, it's about expressing who he is. He's that rare kind of person who can walk into a Dior show wearing boots that look like they've lived 1,000 stories and still steal the spotlight from everyone else. You could tell he wasn't trying to prove anything. He was just there, being Johnny, cool, unbothered, a little mysterious. And maybe that's why the crowd couldn't take their eyes off him. Then came the moment that really set social media on fire. Depp sitting and chatting with Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France. Now, if that sounds unexpected, you're not alone. No one saw that pairing coming. But when it happened, the cameras went wild. The two were spotted laughing, talking, even posing for photos together. It wasn't forced or awkward. It looked genuinely friendly. Imagine that. The rock and roll Hollywood icon and the elegant First Lady of France, sitting side by side at Dior's biggest show of the season. Of course, the internet did what it always does, speculate. Some joked it was the most unexpected crossover since Pirates of the Caribbean meets the Élysée Palace. Others wondered if it was just coincidence or part of something bigger, but whatever it was, it worked. The pictures of Depp and Brigitte quickly spread across platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and each one told its own story. Some saw it as a symbol of cultural harmony. Others saw it as a savvy PR move. But for Depp, this kind of attention was gold. After years of being followed for controversy, he was finally being followed for charm. And let's be real, When you're Johnny Depp, your presence alone is a statement. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Because this wasn't just a random public appearance. There's strategy behind it. Celebrities like Depp don't show up at Fashion Week without a purpose. These events are global media hubs. Millions of eyes, fashion critics, influencers, and journalists from around the world watching your every move. And Dior? It's not just any brand. It's a symbol of prestige, luxury, and timeless influence. Depp showing up front row wasn't just him attending, it was Dior saying, "He's still our man." Remember, Dior stood by Depp through thick and thin. When other brands distanced themselves from controversy, Dior renewed his contract. They believed in his enduring appeal and that loyalty is paying off. The Sauvage fragrance continues to dominate sales worldwide, largely because of Depp's unique image, rebellious yet refined. So, appearing at the show wasn't just a photo op. It was a reminder that his partnership with Dior is still powerful and his brand image still magnetic. Now let's talk about what came next. The rumors. Oh yes, the internet had a field day. First rumor, Johnny and Brigitte Macron are dating. No, absolutely no evidence supports that. The two were friendly, yes, but it looked like a simple social exchange between two public figures. Still, it didn't stop the tabloids from running wild with speculation. Second rumor, this was a PR stunt for Depp's next project. That one might hold a little more truth. Public appearances during high-profile events often align with upcoming projects, and Johnny has a few in the pipeline, including Maudit, a film he's directing about artist Amedeo Modigliani. So timing-wise, it fits perfectly. Third rumor, he's done with acting and moving into fashion full-time. Highly unlikely. Depp has always loved fashion, but his first love is still storytelling. Whether it's film, music, or art, that's where his heart lies. So to clear the air, no secret romance, no dramatic reinvention. Just Johnny Depp being Johnny Depp, making headlines without even trying. Now, let's dig a little deeper into what makes this particular event so fascinating. Behind every celebrity appearance at Paris Fashion Week, there's strategy. And Depp's team knows exactly what they're doing. He's not just rebuilding his image, he's repositioning it. After years of legal drama and public scrutiny, he's emerging again, but differently. Softer, more composed, but still undeniably cool, and that's where Dior fits in perfectly. Dior isn't just selling a fragrance, they're selling an idea, sophistication with an edge. Depp embodies that better than almost anyone in Hollywood. It's why Dior's executives call him a cultural figure, not just a celebrity. They know that when people see Depp, they don't just see a movie star. They see an artist, a rebel, and a survivor, and appearing next to someone like Brigitte Macron. It adds a layer of elegance and diplomacy to that image. It bridges worlds, Hollywood, high fashion, and political sophistication, all in one frame. That's not coincidence. That's brand mastery. Another subtle layer here is how Depp used the event to remind the world that his influence extends far beyond acting. He's been involved in music, art exhibitions, even film directing lately, and Fashion Week is the perfect place to show that he's not confined to one industry. It's almost poetic. After all those years of being portrayed as controversial, he now sits calmly at a Dior show beside the French First Lady, symbolizing something almost cinematic, redemption through style, and people loved it. The photos didn't show chaos or drama. They showed ease, warmth, even joy. That's the image Depp needed, and it landed beautifully. A lot of people also missed one small but interesting detail. Johnny wasn't only spotted at the Dior show, he also made an appearance at Stella McCartney's presentation during the same week. He was seen backstage chatting and posing for photos with Stella herself. Now why does that matter? Because it shows he's not just aligned with one brand. He's reconnecting with the fashion world at large. And considering his long-standing friendship with Paul McCartney, that connection with Stella feels like a natural extension. If you zoom out for a second, it becomes clear this wasn't a one-off cameo. It's part of a larger comeback arc. Johnny's not just attending Fashion Week, he's re-entering the cultural conversation. Let's not forget how Dior has positioned itself through all this. When the world questioned whether to support Johnny Depp, Dior didn't flinch. They didn't issue distancing statements or quietly pull back endorsements like so many others did. They stood firm. And that decision turned out to be one of the boldest moves in modern brand history. It wasn't just an act of loyalty, it was a calculated, confident statement. Dior wasn't betting on controversy. They were betting on character. They saw past the noise, the headlines, the social media frenzy, and believed in the power of authenticity. That kind of trust between a global brand and an artist is rare. Most companies would have hit pause, waiting for the storm to pass. Dior? They walked straight through it with him, and what happened next was fascinating. Their fragrance, Dior Sauvage, didn't just maintain sales, it exploded. While many expected numbers to drop, they skyrocketed. It became one of the top-selling men's fragrances in the world. People weren't just buying a scent anymore. They were buying a statement. A symbol of loyalty, rebellion, and resilience. Wearing Sauvage became, in a subtle way, a gesture of support for Depp. A quiet nod that said, "We believe in redemption." That's the kind of emotional connection brands dream of, but rarely achieve. And Dior knew it. They leaned into it with grace, not through aggressive marketing, but through quiet confidence. No dramatic rebranding, no defensive campaigns, just consistency. They kept airing the same ads, kept Johnny's face as the ambassador, and let time and truth do the talking, so when he walked into Paris Fashion Week, sitting front row at Dior's show, relaxed, smiling, completely at ease, it wasn't just a celebrity cameo. It was the culmination of that entire story. The full-circle moment everyone had been waiting for. Think about it. Years of turbulence, speculation, and doubt, now replaced with calm confidence and applause. The same man once scrutinized in courtrooms was now celebrated under the soft lights of Paris, surrounded by art, fashion, and the very people who believed in him. That single image of Depp, composed, unbothered at Dior, wasn't just fashion. It was forgiveness. It was renewal, and for Dior it was vindication. Their loyalty paid off not just in sales, but in public respect. They proved that standing by someone through controversy isn't always a risk. It can be a revolution. Because in a world where so many brands chase trends and avoid tension, Dior chose conviction. And that made all the difference. You can almost imagine Dior's creative team thinking, "This is exactly what we wanted. A redemption arc told in style." From a PR perspective, it's fascinating. When a celebrity manages to turn a public appearance into a cultural moment, that's mastery. Depp's Paris Fashion Week appearance did exactly that. It wasn't controversial. It wasn't defensive. It was calm, classy, and undeniably magnetic. He didn't say a word, but his presence spoke volumes. And that's what makes Johnny Depp different. He doesn't need to make noise to be noticed. Sometimes he just needs to show up, and the world starts talking. So, what does this mean for his future? Well, it hints that he's ready for the next chapter. Whether it's through film, fashion, or music, Depp's message is clear. He's back, and he's here to stay. It also shows how powerful reinvention can be. You can go through storms, disappear for a while, and then reappear stronger, wiser, and more grounded. That's exactly what Johnny seems to be doing. His appearance with Brigitte Macron, his renewed relationship with Dior, his upcoming projects, all of it forms a picture of a man who knows how to control his narrative. And honestly, that's something a lot of celebrities struggle with. Now, whether you're a longtime fan or just curious, you have to admit, this comeback has been one of the most fascinating Hollywood transformations in recent memory. From courtrooms to catwalks, Johnny Depp has rewritten his story without saying much at all. He lets his actions, and in this case, his fashion choices, do the talking, and maybe that's the real lesson here. When you've been through everything, sometimes elegance becomes the loudest statement you can make. So, what do you think? Was Johnny's Paris Fashion Week appearance just a casual visit or a carefully planned comeback move? And what about that friendly exchange with Brigitte Macron? Coincidence or calculated charm? Whatever your take, one thing's certain, Johnny Depp still knows how to own the moment. He doesn't chase the spotlight. The spotlight follows him, and this time, instead of chaos, it captured something we haven't seen in a while: calm confidence. A man comfortable in his skin, surrounded by art, style, and grace. If this is the new chapter of Johnny Depp's story, it's off to a stunning start.